this is Kirk Hilliard.
It's Rusty Bird. It's the Kirk and Byrd Show. It's high school football time. This is the best time of year, folks. And we've got a first-time visitor to this show, but one of the best to do it right up here in Northern Virginia, out of Loudoun County. We've got Briar Woods head football coach Burnett. Thanks for joining the show, Coach.
It's a pleasure being here.
So yeah, Coach. So this is our first time meeting, but I told you this is just a couple of guys talking sports, and we want to know a little bit more. We want our audience to know a little bit more about Briar Woods football, a little bit more about you. We'll have you back on to do a more in-depth profile. But this is your third season at Briar Wood.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
And so why don't you tell us about your first two?
Yeah, well, I took over. I came back, took a few years out in California, coaching a private school after leaving Loudoun County, and came back. This will be my third season, and kind of, I'm always kind of a rebuilder. I think that's my thing. I think that's kind of my niche is, programs that have, I had a little hard times is trying to get that enthusiasm, energy back in the program, and so. I took over 2 years ago, after COVID. That did a number on a lot of programs, I think. I think it really, and it hurt Briar. I mean, which has, great tradition there, but it's, football is tenuous now. It's just, getting kids interested to play is a challenge. And so, we struggled. We went 1-9 first year. Last year we went 6-4, made the playoffs, and I think we got another we started a lot of young kids. And so we got almost our whole team back. So we're pretty optimistic about this year and what we could do. So.
Yeah.
Oh,
Coach,
good.
I was just going to tell you that we had Coach Thompson on, another Ashburn legend, pushing 325 wins. But we talked a little bit about the schedule, and Brady Carmichael messaged me through Twitter and said, "Hey, I don't think you're getting us right." So I just want to point out, I love that. I mean, I really like when someone's looking at that. But, you've got I was looking at your schedule, and you're gonna have Stonebridge again, but you've got Rusty and I talk about this all the time. Loudoun County football is getting better and better. You started it at Tuscarora. We had Coach Toller on the other night. I mean, there's so many programs. Briar Woods 4 straight championships, but tell us about the team this year. Looking at your schedule, you've got some key matchups that you're going to do over again, maybe some grudge games that were very close. And I know you got a great quarterback, but tell us a little bit more about your team this year.
Yeah, I think we were really young, and like you said, I mean, Loudoun County, I can't even compare it to 18 years ago when I came here. Back then, I helped put together the program at Broad Run. And at that time, it was really kind of us and Stonebridge, and, and not to be disrespectful to those programs, but there just wasn't a lot of enthusiasm at these other programs. And I think Loudoun County football over the last decade is just a different animal than what it once was. I mean, you've got, you used to kind of look at your schedule and say, oh, I've got 2 or 3 games that I'm really looking forward to. For us, it was always playing Stonebridge. And when I was at Tuscarora, it was playing Stonebridge and playing Broad Run. I mean, those were our big games. And then now I look at our schedule, I'm like, man, everybody's good. I look at, we open with John Champ, and then we're playing County, who's in the region championship last year. Then you got to go through, of course, you always got to go through Stonebridge. We've got Light Ridge, which is a new program that will kind of fun. Pot Falls has been just tough every single year. We try to pick up a fun game every year. We actually picked up Fort Hill this year from Maryland. They're a small school, but they have been in 7 of the last 8 state championships up in Maryland, up in Cumberland County. And so one of my assistants grew up there, and football's huge up there, and they have a hard time finding games. And so, it's about a 2-hour ride, but I think that'll be a really fun game for us this year and next year, to go up against them. So, but at the end of the day, we feel great, and about our team. It's just like I said, we know we got to go through go through Stonebridge, to get to the regional and get to the state. And that's what it was at Tuscarora, and so that's kind of the measuring stick. And Mickey and I have been good friends for a long time, and so I always look forward to those games. We've had some great matchups over the years. And we think this year, skill position wise, we can really match up. It's getting harder and harder to find linemen. I got to tell you, the kids today, they just, that's not what they're interested in, and so they just, I'm not really sure how that trend is going to continue. We used to be too deep across the board. And now we're, if we stay healthy, now it's, I think if you talk to most coaches, they're probably going to say the same thing. If we stay healthy, we can be pretty good because our first 11 are really good, but it's harder to get those support characters nowadays.
Loudoun County, man, out here, we in Prince William, when we build and we open a school, and like my wife's school, Colgan, opened in 2017, they already got 3,000 kids. Now it's a Class 6 school, but imagine if your schools, I think they're designed to hold, what, about 1,400?
15. They pretty much target about 1,500, and they can go up to maybe 2,000 at the max.
Okay, but somewhat like every other school, if y'all combined, and you would have that depth, and you guys would have some powerhouse programs.
Yeah, I'm actually an economics teacher, so I go a little crazy about the county just spending all this money to build these small schools when we could have 4 or 5 less schools. And I agree with you. Athletically, it would be terrific, because if all of a sudden, that's what happened to Briar Woods. Not only did COVID happen, but it happened right as Independence High School opened. And so you lose half your kids. Everybody wants to know what happens to these programs. Well, it's pretty hard to sustain a program when half your players leave in a year.
And so Rockridge, Rockridge, and then came Independence.
Right.
When Riverside opened, Stonebridge, and it's one of those things. And I can tell you, with Ashburn and Leesburg, there's going to be another school or two coming up, and it waters it down. Rusty and I were just talking about a program, Lafayette, where Lawrence Taylor, I was like, why aren't they putting out players anymore? Well, they've got 3 new high schools that they're splitting their athletes from. But and speaking of the great programs, you finish out the year with Stonebridge and Independence.
This 2023 season, tell us a little bit about the makeup of your team and how. And I haven't seen you all, so tell us, what style of offense do you do you guys run? What is your defense? What does it look like?
Well, it's a little different for me. People that know me know that we've been able to have a lot of success being predominantly a running team first and throw when we need to. We're a power counter. I've had Noah Reimers Player of the Year. I had TJ Peeler the Player of the Year. We've had some really great running backs over the years. And again, I think things are changing, just the kind of football and the kind of kids you have, and you kind of got to work with what you have. And we're lucky. We've got some really, really talented skill players. I think all of our skill players are back. I've never had that happen before. And 4 of them are juniors. So they all played as sophomores. They took some lumps, made some mistakes. Brady Carmichael, our quarterback, is just a terrific football player. But Colin, Capistrant, he's an all-region player on both sides of the ball as a sophomore last year. Tyler Yoder, Trey Dudley, and so we'll be throwing the ball around. There's no question about that. But in my heart, I want to run the ball, so we're going to come back to it. I never get too far away. I think this year we're going to probably throw so that we can run. And usually, we run so that we can throw. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see us run the ball quite a bit. So.
Okay, I love that, Coach, because I grew up playing for Bethel High School. Coach Cos won state championships running the wishbone. Now, the first 2, then he won with Allen Iverson, who could just do anything. I was a option quarterback in high school, and I played flag football for about 20 years in Northern Virginia. And everybody was, really. Oh, I've said this before, but all this the style of play now is just what we were doing in flag football like for 20, 30 years ago. And all they're doing is just everybody's running 7-on-7. That's all everybody's doing now. But I was running the option in flag football, Coach. I was, because I love to run, but yeah, so I want to definitely check you out. And if you still got a base of that somewhere in there, even with all this passing, that's much appreciated,
Well, I always tell everybody too, having been fortunate enough to be a few state championships, is that state championships are played in bad weather. And,
in December.
You look in December, and it is teams that run the football are usually there. Like there's a lot of teams that can spread it out now, but even those teams that spread it out can still run the football. And so I'm a big believer that that's wins championships. 7-on-7 creates a lot of bad habits, and to me, so for me, I was an option quarterback in high school too. I was terrible. I couldn't throw a lick. I tell people, but we never threw the ball. So
we never threw it. Go ahead.
No, that's all. So I kind of go back to those roots too, and think that that's going to be, that's the key to our success, is how well we'll be able to run, even with all these great skill kids.
Yep. In the 70s, one time, our Bethel won the state championship, only completing 14 passes on the whole season. Frank Brown was the quarterback. His son, he went on to play at VM. His son later on came back and broke a lot of the passing records. His son, 25, 30 years later, threw for like 2,000 yards. Like he broke his dad's completion, what his dad completed in one season in like a half.
Yep. Well, even you mentioned Coach Thompson, and running the single wing, and he does a lot of real good creative stuff. But at the end of the day, that's their bread and butter, and it has been for 20 years. And when things get rough in a game, that's what he goes back to. And that wins football games.
Yep.
Yep. And being a defensive coordinator, I've been a defensive coordinator for years. Even though I played quarterback, running back, but I love coaching defense. But when everybody's throwing the ball, and then they got to go up against a team, and they got to prepare for that team that's running it in maybe a different way, like that's a lot to maybe get in if you're not seeing that on a regular basis.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Coach Thompson's first state championship, Phoebus, that's one of the top 5 or 6 Phoebus teams ever. And Taj Boyd was the quarterback. He was a junior. And they had Jaron Gavea Winslow now. And Mickey just started running that single wing and confusing them, doing the spin. And you know what? They ran it down their throat. So
I love this.
Big kudos.
Oh, that's great spinner. That spinner's a bear. Yeah.
Yeah. How's your special teams looking, Coach?
Oh, we got a great kicker. I don't usually have a great kicker. It's hard. They're hard to find. I don't like to kick. We don't punt, so I haven't punted in years. So, we usually, we'll try to go for it. It's 80% of the time, and if not, we'll just
I love that. I just asked the coach that question the other day, right? Kirk, was it Centerville or somebody? Because I know there was that one
30 or more people go
never punt. That is great.
Even before all the analytics stuff, I always used to tell people, I go, really, we got to get a long snap, a catch, a kick, and in the best case scenario, we're giving it to their best player in space, like with a bunch of linemen chasing them. That's not a good. That's like that doesn't end well, So I think it changes your attitude offensively too. All of a sudden, 3rd and 6 isn't so bad. It's like we only need half of it, and I think. But and it instills that confidence in the kids too. They get much more confident offensively. When you feel like I got to get a touch at first down and 3 downs, it's a lot of pressure on high school kids. You tell them, look, we're good. We got 4,
that 4th is like a bonus. My brother played in the CFL and they only had 3 downs. So if you get a 4th play, okay.
Now the parents don't like it all the time. I'll tell you. I hear I hear from the stands, when you're going for it on your own 25-yard line in the second quarter, they're like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like,
I love it. I got to check you out, Coach. That's good stuff.
All right, Coach. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you this year. And I'm one of those guys that with Trace McSorley, I still stand by my I think he should have played safety, so that worked out real well.
I told his dad the same thing. I said, I think he was one of the best safeties I ever. Unbelievable safety. Offensively, we couldn't account for him. But I'm happy I was wrong there too.
Yeah,
so.
It worked out.
I don't think people realize how big of a winner he is. I mean, that's what he does. For him to play quarterback in the Big Ten is just amazing, and play pro. He was a lot of fun to watch. To
me, the best Penn State quarterback I've seen in the last 20 years.
Yeah, he's a great kid too. He came back. He worked out with our receivers and with Brady this summer with us at Briar a little bit in the summer. And he's just a great young man. So I'm happy for him.
He worked every summer. I used to see him, and a lot of football players don't do that. I was impressed with that. That says a lot about his parents.
Yep, he is. He's one of the hardest working kids. So.
And Coach, so we're about to wrap this up, but how would you define success? This is your third year here, but you've had a successful career. So I know every year is different, every team is different, but how would you define success this season?
Yeah, it's hard. I think when you've had success, people always think, "Oh, you got to go win another state championship." And I think I've been lucky that I don't really fall into that trap. We really still focus on like our kids being good men and acting the right way. And I think when you build that kind of behavior of discipline, the wins come. They just come with better habits, better work ethic, a little more grit, a little more toughness. And so that's success for us. And I just always believe if our kids act that way, the wins will take care of themselves. And we obviously want to be playing in December, but I think that I'd rather spend the next 2 or 3 months with really good kids than 3 months with kids that don't appreciate it. So
yeah. No, I feel you. So again, thank you for joining us. Got to get you back on.
Yeah, got to get you back on.
We got to profile you because all these people are going, wait a minute, what he did? What? Huh? He ran the option and he's been in state championships and we want more. So let me just say, folks, if you want him back, let me do this. This episode, I won't say a minimum of 2,000 views, but we'll say, which is like twice what anybody's. But let us know if Coach y'all support Coach Burnett, get a lot of views, pass it on, subscribe, and we'll get him back even quicker. But we're going to get you back either way. Coach, if this only gets 3 views and that's your kids, hey, it's all good, but thank you very much for joining us. And I'll let you use this last bit. If there's anything you'd like to promote or anyone shout outs you want to give, this is a good time.
I just want to thank you for promoting high school football because I'm worried about it. I just with people and families need to really understand how important football is to young men and in character and in a world where everybody's pretty selfish. It's a selfless sport, and you guys putting in anything we can do to sell this game and let people know how great it is and keep it going is the win for me.
Ashburn youth football is probably down 60%. They've had to combine with Lower Loudoun and Western Loudoun, and it's
went from 12 technology. Yep, we used to have like 14 teams in Central Loudoun. I think there's 4. So we got to keep getting the word out. We got to get people back playing football.
We're going to start a forum on Facebook for Be Heavy on Football. Prince William has one. 757 has one, and people are constantly on it talking. You find out a lot of information. It's a lot of fun. Keep it above board. So we're going to start that. So look for it.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Okay. Hey, look, you all take care. And Briarwood, we're praying for a healthy season and successful season, however that looks. So thank you, Coach Burnett, and my co-host, Coach Davis. This has been the Kirk and Byrd Show. We are out.